The Santa Clauses. Now, this is a series that was announced for Disney Plus that I had no interest in. Let me tell you why. I've seen the Santa Claus movies. I actually reviewed them on the channel, and I really don't like them. I guess I'll briefly go over my thoughts before I get into the how I found this show surprisingly actually pretty decent. And I'm going to be reviewing it every single week now. Um, so backstory here. The first Santa Claus movie. I mean, I didn't grow up in the '90s. I didn't watch it then. I watched it more recently, and it's a terrible Christmas movie. I find it very mean spirited. Here's the thing about that movie. So, the plot of that movie is essentially that it's about adults telling a child that there's something wrong with him because he believes in Santa. It is a very uncomfortable, mean spirited Christmas movie if you actually look what's happening in the movie. And it tries to be all whimsical and magical, but it doesn't work if you were to break down what's happening in that movie. So that's why I don't like the first one. The second one is okay. I enjoy that one a bit more. It's a little more juvenile in terms of the humor, like the reindeers doing like fart and poop jokes. That was dumb. But I enjoyed that one a little bit more. And honestly, if I were to go back and review the trilogy, I'd probably give two the best review and probably be like, it's pretty over. Three is not good. So there we go. So yeah, I'm not wasn't so when it was announced, I didn't even really plan on checking it out, especially when they said it was announced as a series. Because here's the thing about Disney Plus. Disney Plus has had this habit of like everything needs to be a series. Like, why do we like? Just it sounds dumb, but you're like the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies are a series now. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like nothing, not everything needs to be a show. So, I was up late and they came out the first two episodes, and I was like, all right, let's just pop them on. And they're only like 30, little over 30 minutes, like a couple minutes over 30 minutes, like 35 minutes or so. I watched them and I surprisingly really enjoyed them. And I think what it is this. Tim Allen was always great as the Santa Claus. Honestly, my reviews for the Santa Claus movies are bad, but Tim Allen was always great as playing Santa. He was never the issue with those movies. It was mostly the writing. And I think the writing here is honestly a little bit better than those movies. First of all, they acknowledge how weird the concept is that he became Santa by the other Santa dying, and they make jokes about that, and they address it in this show, which is so nice because let's be freaking real. That's the worst aspect of the concept is that he killed Santa and just no one addresses it. Like they're like, how come no one mourns the loss of the last Santa? And then they make jokes about it, and that's fun. They also make jokes about how modern Christmas is now, where it's like he makes a joke about how unacceptable it is for like people to say Merry Christmas, and it's like it's apparently unacceptable for me to say that nowadays. There's a lot of fun jokes like that here. It's modernizing Christmas and it's expanding on the concept. It's also taking what I liked about the second one, this dynamic of like, what, he needs to find a wife, he needs to do all this, and making it fit. That family dynamic that's fun. You see how Scott and his kids want a normal life, and so he's trying to give that to them. He's getting old, he's retiring, it's relatable. And so I think that's nice about the show. And yeah, I mean, just to break down what happens in this episode, it's basically everything I just said. Um, and then we see a new guy get sent to the North Pole. So we're gonna have to find out what's going on from there. It was nice to see Charlie again and how they acknowledged him because it's something like the last two movies didn't really acknowledge a lot. Was Charlie? They just kind of forgot about him. I think it was smart to him come in for a little bit, but yeah, I I enjoy this show. In terms of criticism, The intro to this show is terrible. It's a lot of ugly ass looking CG thrown in your face. The reindeers still look terrible because the design of them for all these movies has been really bad. And I still will never get past the elves being kids. It's just weird and it's cringy. But other than that, if you like the Santa Claus movies, I think you'll really like them. I don't know if it's going to turn everybody over, like, who didn't like these movies. I don't know if it's going to change your opinion, kind of like I did. Like, watching this, it did give me some appreciation for those movies. And it did make me want to watch more of this show. And I do like that it's just a mini series. It's only 6 episodes, so it doesn't feel. And these episodes don't feel like, oh, this didn't need to be an episode or that didn't need to be an episode. That's a feeling I have with Disney Plus shows, but I don't feel that here. I don't know. I'm very surprised by this show. Like, if you told me that one of my favorite Disney Plus shows of the year so far would be the Santa Clauses. I don't know. I don't know. Very interesting. I don't know if this is my favorite, but it's definitely I definitely like, I like She Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and then we have Obi-Wan and Andor. So it's definitely like on it. I put it right next to Moon Knight at the bottom of that list. It's a decent show. So yeah, stay tuned for my review of episode 3 next week. I'm surprised that I'm reviewing this show, but this is an interesting show that I want to talk about.